Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to be going over the olfactory system. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a really unique concept that I think can be a little confusing if you're not really sure. So we often think about smell as a gas, right? But actually, smell is a bunch of particles that float on air which travels up your nose, right? So that's really important because when people say an odor, they don't talk about the gassy part of it. They talk about the molecules. So when people say odor molecules, that's what they mean, right? They mean the molecules that are floating on top of gas, which are actually the smell, right? That's what smell is. It's made up of particles, which is really a little bit, if you don't understand it, it can be a little confusing. So the first thing we're going to go over is how your nose receives smell, right? So first, these little odor particles will travel up your nose through your nostril, right? Your nostril is that little hole. I'm sure you've heard of it before. Then what happens is it travels up, and these motor molecules stick to the thick mucous membrane that's located on the top of your nose. So what this mucus layer contains are the hair-like projections from the olfactory nerve, right? So basically, what that means is that let's take a closer look. This is called your olfactory epithelium, right? So this is like the part that's exposed to the odor. So an epithelium means a thick layer of tissue that's exposed and protecting inner organs, right? So in this case, this piece over here is called our olfactory epithelium. So in our olfactory epithelium, we contain different olfactory nerve fibers. So like these thick neurons, as you see here. So these neurons actually have axons that are shaped like hairs. You can see here, right? Thus earning them the name cilia. This word should sound familiar to you because your ears contain cilia and because they're used to bend over, which allows ions to travel in and activates the auditory nerve, right? So this is cilia. Cilia is a general term that means hair, right? So these hair-like projections attract and bind to these odor molecules. And when the odor molecules bind to the hair, what they do is they activate them. So every smell produces a unique pattern in which cilia are activated, right? One smell creates one pattern. So that's why when you smell something distinctive, like you smell your mom's curry, only you will know that it is that curry because it's the only that smell will activate that specific hair pattern, right? So then what happens is this information, this pattern is taken up the olfactory tract to a part of your brain called the olfactory cortex. Cortex. So what's interesting about this process is two things. First, when your nose, this process happens in both nostrils, right? And in your skull, there's a small opening, right? There's a small opening in which these inputs will cross over, right? So the smell that comes into your right nostril will go to the left side, and the smell that comes in from your left nostril will go into the right side. So that's the process of crossing over, right? And not just that. So far, we've heard that every sense goes and travels through the part called the thalamus that we see here, right? Let me change my color really quickly. So this piece over here, this organ, or this anatomy piece is called our thalamus. So what this does is it acts as our switchboard, right? It receives sensory information and it sends it to the right parts of the brain, right? However, your olfactory system is so unique that it doesn't go to the thalamus. It goes directly to the olfactory cortex, which is really important. It's a really common question in all anatomy competitions. Which sense does not go to the thalamus to be processed or whatnot? Your answer will be your olfactory system, right? So now let's go over some really quick fun facts. These can often pop up in your competitions. So the first thing is that your body or your nose has over 1,000 types of olfactory cells, right? Olfactory cells. Then you have the ones your nose can identify up to 20,000 types of smell. Finally, your nose, or once your hair pattern is identified, it takes the brain 110 milliseconds to identify the smell. So this is the olfactory system. As usual, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. And yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you.